I'm going to share with you a product we did a few years ago at Pearson, and the goal was to leverage some of their assets, in terms of content, curriculum, books, scoring, etc., and put it together in a digital environment, an LMS. At that time, it was called an LMS, right? So I'm going to present this as a case study, and I hope some of the learnings are still valuable. The goals that we set up for this product were how do we help students set their own goals, okay, and give them a sense of control, the cadence they use to learn, right, and some autonomy. How do we enable them to recognize, monitor, track their progress, right? And finally, assess the students and figure out what are the gaps between what they ought to know and where they are. And is there any opportunity for personalized coaching to change their trajectory so that they can absorb those, can fill the lacuna? Okay. So these were the goals, and we looked at who the users are, who the stakeholders are. So it's of course the teacher and the student, but there is the parent and the school admins, right? But for the scope of this product, we focused only on the student and the teacher. Likewise, we looked at various devices, but we thought tablet experience would be what we'll go after, what we'll focus on. And we looked at not in class, but out of class learning, on the go learning and at home learning. So all of this resulted in this product, this focus. So we started with a journey map. It's a very common construct in design where you say people use a product or a service to get things done, but they get things done to get to some outcome. So it's really to get to those desired outcomes that we use a product or service. As an example, consider that I'm unwell and I want to get well. That's my desired outcome. And to get there, I'm willing to do several jobs, such as discover a doctor, set up an appointment, drive up, right, blood works, prescription, medicine, push-ups. I'm doing all those jobs for this one desired outcome. This is to get well. So if you can orchestrate, if you can make this journey from being unwell to getting well better, which could be smarter, easier, more friendly, right? Then and only then there is an incentive for the user to switch to the new product, right? So we start always with a journey map, and we think that if you change the experience, you have the opportunity to change the world, okay? The journey that we looked at, from a student perspective was very simple. So this is a day in the life of a student, written as a narrative. So this is like a cheat sheet, right? So a student receives an email, right? They register. They now get to see the courses. They enroll in courses. They can access the learning materials, submit assignments, get graded, finish the course. So these, what you see vertically down here are the meta use cases, right? Similarly, there is a journey for the teacher, and I'm going to show you these journeys, as a click-through, so that there is a little bit more context. Now, this is Portuguese experience, but this is because one of the first pilots we did was in Sao Paulo, right? So the experience was configurable, so you could choose a locale, a language, and so on, okay? So I'm going to run through this quickly. So student, signs in, right? Now they can choose an avatar. So they can choose, these could be more friendly or they could be abstract, okay? They choose an avatar, they can put their own photo. And this is what is called as a FRUX, first run experience, where you make them familiar with, how the software is going to, what to expect from the software, how to navigate it, right? Then we present the dashboard that, these are the courses you are registered in, and we're going to track your progress, okay? And at a glance, you can see what your assignments are, how you're scoring, and so on, okay? So let's go through some of these experiences, as a click through, okay? So, the student can select a course, okay? And now, once they select a course, they can see content, assignment, discussions. They can select a piece of content or a discussion, right? They can go through their assignments. They can choose to, go there, on the dashboard, they get notices or notifications on how they're tracking, what they're missing, what they're required to submit, right? For example, I was looking for Jason. Okay. Jason was sending me notifications on submit your slides. And, so that's an example of, notifications. Your assignment is due, right? Okay. So you can go in and, see that it is not submitted. You can take the quiz. You can view the results. You can submit it, and it gets graded, right? So, this is the UI or experience for the student. Very quickly, we'll go through, the teacher's experience, and then we'll come back to the main presentation. So the highlight here is the dashboard, which enables the student to monitor their progress and jump into, it provides shortcuts to all the capabilities of the product, whether it is assignment or going through content, etc. Right? Teacher's journey is similar, a little bit more complex. So the teacher signs in, and now, they can choose an avatar, and they're also given the first run experience. Now what they see is all the classes they're taking and all the courses. So they can select any class, and they can see the dashboard of that class, the assignments that they have submitted, how many students there are, and so on. So this is, their entire dashboard, and they can go into a class view. And again, they get these notifications, right? Now they can provide content. They can select lesson plans. They can select learning objects and add them to a lesson plan, create assignments, view them. So this is a fairly detailed experience from a teacher perspective, right? So they can look at all the assignments. They can score them. They can select a student and look at how the student is, going through the class, what the student knows and what the student doesn't know. Again, all of this is done in a manner which is, I want to show you. So they've selected a particular student, and they can see the student's progress. Okay. So let's go back to the main deck. So I was talking about journey maps. So we looked at the consumers, the stakeholders, the student, and the teacher. And we created these journey maps that you just saw. And we created these click-throughs, iterated through them to see what is working, what is not working. And then we defined certain goals for the experience. These are the design goals, or what we call as design affordances. Some of them are, as expected. You want things to be interactive, right? You want the ability to have nonlinear access, etc. But one of our key goals here was adaptivity. How can we adapt the content, the assignments for individual students based on where they are, right? So let's show you some of this. So we looked at various models that were available. So for example, on Google Chrome, the model was this left navigation model. You go through content like this. Apple had this horizontal swipe model. If you look at Apple TV, the way they present media, right? So we looked at several models, and including what Pearson had internally done. And we chose a learning map model, which was actually funded by Gates Foundation when they did the Big History Project, right? And it provides this experience of where you are as you progress through the content. Right? So we chose that model, but we had a framework to figure out which is the best model to choose, etc. And then we started to skin the wireframes. So you saw the wireframes. We call them high fidelity wireframes. Once the wireframes are evolved, right, by testing them, doing A/B testing, etc., you build a prototype, and now once you are comfortable, you skin them. And so this is how the skinned experience looks like. Okay, the user signs in, they choose an avatar, right? They see their dashboard. So it's exactly the same content, just skinned differently, right? Now they can see the notifications, They can select content material, right? They can go through the courses they're doing. This is the teacher interface. The teacher can look at the classes. They can select their dashboard. They can see what assignments they have given, right? So it's the same experience that you saw through wireframes, which is now skinned, okay? So this is the value of doing it as a digital product, that you can move things very quickly. You can build, you can deploy, you can test, you can learn and evolve. So what we built was a framework that could be customized. So you could choose features. So for example, should we allow students to have pictures or avatars or just some abstract icons, right? So that's a feature. Each school could choose, each class teacher could choose whether they want to keep it on or not. Okay, services. For example, the rostering service. Am I going to use the rostering service from Google or Microsoft, or is it a homegrown service? So you could choose which service you want to choose to build the product, right? So there are controls, widgets, patterns that you choose. And essentially what you create is a UX instance, right? Because you want to deploy it across geographies, across curriculum, across, I'm missing this word, across programs, right? Okay, and you want to be able to deploy them with the same ease and same breadth as mobile apps. So you containerize them, you Dockerize them so that the software can be shipped very quickly. And it can sit on any infrastructure, whether it is AWS or Microsoft Cloud and so on. So some examples of what the configurator could do. Of course, you could choose a color scheme. You could choose the language, right? You could choose the services. But the important thing was, no matter what you did, you wanted to come across consistent. Because if there are two students who are given the same content, the same assessment, but if the experience is different, we noticed that the performance could be different. So consistency was one of the key goals, right? So when you look at the product, whether it's the teacher's experience or the student's experience or the parent's experience, you knew it was that product. And across devices, the product looked consistent. And across context, the product looked consistent. So the key learnings that we had, from this product, okay? These learnings, I believe, are still, relevant today. So one of the learnings was that, learning depends on what I already know, my experiences, right? My preferences, my interests, my language skills, my cognitive skills, right? So it is highly personal, right? Then connecting learners in a learning environment, in an engaging environment which is emotionally safe, right, makes them connect with the environment in ways which is similar to a social connection, right? So you find that it improves learner outcomes if they feel comfortable in the learning environment, right? And that really means they should be able to choose the pace. They should be able to have autonomy over what they see and at what pace they go through this. Finally, personalizing the experiences is based on orchestrating the content. And if you can learn, if you can figure out what the student knows, okay, based on their personal corpus, based on what they have learned in class, based on the assessments you have done. So if you can baseline where they are and you know where they want to go, you can orchestrate that journey better. So these were the learnings, and there is a paper we wrote. This is 4 years ago. This is available. Anybody who would like to get a copy, I'm happy to share a copy. So all the learnings are explained in this paper. And finally, a word on what Martha said earlier, right? We're all born to learn, and the experience layer is this big sponge. And as we go through life, it keeps becoming like this. So thank you very much.